Please don't forget to subscribe. I remember the first time I looked at Brian, my husband, and realized I wasn't in love with him anymore. It wasn't dramatic or sudden, it was like a quiet storm, a truth I could no longer hide from. We'd been married for 5 years in a quiet suburb outside Austin, Texas. People called us stable, sweet, even lucky. But behind our front door, there was nothing but cold air and lukewarm love. Brian was predictable. Kind, sure, but passive. He had no passion. No edge. He'd stopped trying a long time ago, and I pretended it was enough. But the truth? I was starving. I didn't want safe. I didn't want someone who kissed me like I was a checklist. I wanted intensity. Mystery. Hunger. I didn't want a small bullet, I wanted a big missile. A man who could ignite me just by walking in the room. I tried to save it. I lit candles. I wore red. I planned weekend getaways. But Brian's eyes never followed me with desire. He gave me tired excuses and shrugged affection. One night, I was getting ready for bed, wearing something sheer enough to make any man stop and stare. Brian walked in, glanced at me, and said, "We're almost out of almond milk." That's when I knew it was over. I moved out 2 weeks later. No screaming matches, no thrown dishes. Just a suitcase and silence. He didn't even try to stop me. I got a small loft downtown. Simple. Clean. Mine. It felt raw at first, like shedding a layer of skin. But it was real. For the first time in years, I could hear myself breathe again. And then, everything changed. It was at a rooftop art event hosted by a mutual friend. I didn't even want to go. But the universe had other plans. Because that's where I met him. Dom Hitler. Even his name had power. Dom didn't walk into a room, he consumed it. Tall, with jet black hair and sharp steel eyes that cut straight through fabric and soul. He looked like a storm wrapped in a tailored suit. He noticed me across the rooftop, standing near the bar. I tried not to look. But it was useless. His energy pulled people in. "You don't belong here," he said as he approached. "Excuse me?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "I mean that in the best way," he replied, his voice like gravel and velvet. "You don't belong in a room full of pretense. You're too real for that." I should have walked away. But instead, I laughed. "You say that to all the women?" "Only the ones who stop me in my tracks." And just like that, I was his. We started seeing each other. First it was coffee, then dinners that turned into long conversations and stolen glances. Dom wasn't like Brian. He was bold. Every word he spoke sounded like a secret. Every look felt like a dare. And when he touched my lower back as we crossed the street or leaned in to whisper something near my ear, I felt everything in me light up. He didn't just want to be around me, he wanted to devour me. One night, he invited me to his penthouse. I hesitated. "Is this serious?" I asked. He stepped closer. "It's real. I don't do pretend." The elevator doors opened, and my breath caught. His place was a blend of dark wood, glass, and firelight. The windows stretched across the skyline. The city glittered below like it was bowing down to him. He poured 2 glasses of red wine and guided me to the balcony. "You're not afraid of heights, are you?" he asked, standing close behind me. "I'm afraid of falling," I whispered. He leaned in, his lips brushing the shell of my ear. "Then hold on to me." I turned around and looked at him, and he kissed me. Deep, slow, intentional. Like he'd been holding back just to savor the moment. His lips were firm, his hands strong but controlled. When he kissed me, it wasn't gentle. It was claiming. He picked me up, carried me inside, and everything changed. That night wasn't just physical, it was an awakening. He studied every inch of me, not with curiosity, but with certainty. Like he already knew exactly how to make me unravel. He didn't ask me what I liked, he showed me. His touch was both a question and an answer. I didn't feel used. I felt worshipped. We didn't speak for hours. Only breath, gasps, tension, release. And when the sun started to rise and light spilled across our bodies, he whispered, "Now you know what it feels like to be seen." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because for the first time, I understood what it meant to be chosen. Days turned into weeks. Dom spoiled me in ways I never imagined. But it wasn't about money, it was how present he was. How he memorized my coffee order, kissed the inside of my wrist in crowded elevators, and held my face like he was afraid the world would steal me away. But love isn't always quiet. Brian found out about Dom. He showed up one night, uninvited, rain pouring around him. "You're really with him?" he asked. "I'm happy," I replied softly. "I gave you everything." "No," I said. "You gave me a routine." "He gives me life." Brian looked like he wanted to fight. But he knew he couldn't win. Because Dom wasn't just a man, he was the man I had been waiting for. A man who made me feel like I mattered every second of the day. When I told Dom about the visit, he didn't flinch. "He's not your past," he said. "He's just the reason you never reached your future sooner." He kissed me then, harder, deeper, longer. Our connection only grew. Every night with Dom was an adventure. Some nights, we stayed in, wrapped in sheets and secrets. Other nights, we dressed to kill and owned the night. But whether it was champagne in Paris or pizza on the floor, Dom always made me feel like I was the center of his universe. One evening, as we watched the stars from his balcony, he pulled me into his lap and said, "Tell me the truth. Was he ever enough for you?" I looked into his eyes. He tried. But he didn't know how to feel. "You do." "I don't just feel," he said. "I burn." And that's what it was like to be with Dom, fiery, intense, soul-stirring. He didn't just give me love. He gave me heaven. I stopped settling. I stopped shrinking myself just to make someone else comfortable. I chose Dom Hitler because he met my standards, and then shattered them in the best way. He never gave me a small bullet. He gave me a missile. Full force. Unapologetic. And now, every morning, every kiss, every look, reminds me that I made the right choice. He doesn't just touch my body. He touches my existence. And every time he whispers my name, I remember the girl I used to be, the one who used to beg for scraps. Now, I dine like a queen in the kingdom of a man who knows exactly what I'm worth. He gives me everything. And he shows me heaven. Every single night.